Hi, Fatih. Oh, hi. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm having some water.
Why you don't take off your mask?
Oh, I'm wearing this mask because I'm having some cough. So, I'm afraid that people will get infected by me due to this pandemic COVID-19. So, I'm wearing mask today.
Oh, so we have to wear a mask too, right?
Yes, you guys should.
Let's start it tomorrow? Okay. But what other ways to prevent our body from COVID-19 infection?
Yes. Oh, nice. You guys have to keep your social distancing in 1 meter at least.
Oh my god! Yeah, have to keep the social distancing.
Yes, you guys should.
Is this okay?
Yes.
Is any other than that?
Yes. Jom.
Let's follow me.
Alright, this is your hand sanitizer. To prevent this kind of COVID-19 disease, we always have to wash our hands or just use sanitizer to keep our hands clean to prevent from COVID-19 disease.
Oh, I see. Thank you, Fatih. Thank you for sharing the tips to avoid from COVID-19 infection.
Alright, don't forget to wear your mask tomorrow, okay?
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the talk show. As we know, our campus has organized an awareness week about infectious disease, and this week will be our turn to talk about one of the biggest infectious disease that has hit Malaysia on 2019, and it was called COVID-19. With me, I'm Maria as your chairperson today. So it is my pleasure to be a moderator this session on how pandemic COVID-19 affects student education. First of all, may I briefly introduce to all of you our guest speaker from Institute of Teacher Education, Campus Pendidikan Teknik. First of all, may I briefly introduce to all of you our guest speaker from Institute of Teacher Education, Campus Pendidikan Teknik. So this is our first speaker, Fatin Munajah. She is the head of students of this campus, and I'm glad to say that she will graduate on 2025, right? And meanwhile, this is our second speaker, Nur Christina Batis, and she is the first year student of this campus. First of foremost, I would like to say thank you for two of you because joining our talk show today. I hope both of you are doing well. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to the main agenda of the talk show session. Before we start, I would like to share some information about the history of COVID-19. Okay, the novel human coronavirus disease 2019, as known as COVID-19, was first reported in Wuhan, China in 2019 and subsequently spread globally to become the fifth documented pandemic since the flu pandemic. By September 2021, almost 2 years after COVID-19 was first identified, that this had been more than 200 million confirmed cases, over 4.6 million lives lost to the disease. On 28 May 2021, Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin was announced that a nationwide total lockdown, we call it Full Movement Control Order (FMCO), will be imposed on all social and economic sectors in Malaysia from 1 June to 14 June in 2021. This lockdown has effect to people's life. This time, people say that the crime rate increased. People also have bad relationship problem, and people also have mental breakdown during this time. And children also lose their opportunities in learning due to school shutdown. And the saddest and scariest one is when people lose someone during the COVID-19 pandemic. So that's some of information about pandemic COVID-19. Let's move to the next part. So I have heard that you are the one of a COVID-19 victim. So can you share to us about your experience during that time?
Alright, first of all, thank you for having me here. And yes, I was one of the victims of COVID-19. When I was 15, I had COVID-19 for the first time. I think it was the bad experience ever because it was so tiring and my whole family were affected from that COVID-19 disease. And I think my mom, my dad, my siblings are the first one who had the COVID-19, and then it was me. So when during that time, I was the only one who have to spray our rooms because my whole family were affected and I was not affected yet. So I have to live on my own, and we cannot share our food. As we know, COVID is one of the infectious disease, right? So we can't share our food and also our bedrooms. So I have to sleep on my own without my siblings. So I think it was a bad experience. And also, thankfully, we had our vaccine for last 2 months before we get that experience. So our immunity and our body are strong enough to fight that COVID virus. So after a few weeks, we are doing well, and Alhamdulillah, we are not affected from that COVID disease.
Has all of your family members take the vaccine?
Of course, yes. My whole family took the vaccine of the COVID-19. Yes.
Thank you, Fatim. That sounds so exhausted and tiring, but I hope all your family members are doing well. So thank you so much because sharing your experience with us today. So now I would like to turn to our second speaker, Nur Christina. Christina, did you also have any experience like Fatim? Either you are the victim of COVID-19 or your nearest family or even your family member?
Yes, I do. In 2020, I have an experience with a close contact during
fear, anxiety, and franticness. The Malaysian Ministry of Health calls me every day to inquire about my well-being. I was almost stressed and got a mental breakdown because I had to lock myself in a room for 2 weeks. But after that, I was free from COVID-19. I am absolutely over it. Thank you. It's so sad to hear that. I hope all of your family members, even you, are doing well. So now we are gonna take a further conversation into the education. So as we all know, because of this COVID-19, most of students are lose their opportunities and learning due to school shutdown. This also affects to the teachers because they have to facing many challenge to keep students learn every day during the school day. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so now I would like to kick off the discussion by asking the major question. So I would love to hear our speaker thoughts on this topic. Okay, Fatih, can you give your thoughts about how pandemic COVID-19 affects to the education?
Alright, first of all, when we talk about COVID-19, it is so related to students among the world. Firstly, the students receive no education and also no learning. When the pandemic struck, many schools got closed and hence the students remained at home. According to a report by UNESCO, over 1.5 billion students in 165 countries were affected by school closure during the peak of a pandemic COVID-19. So learning was discontinued and many students did not read at home because there was no other devices and also they got no teachers at home. They were given printed assignment, notes and also works, but they can't do it without the guidance of their teachers, right? So secondly, the students also face mental issues because of the COVID-19 statement and also all the disease. So it was linked to stress among the students. Many of them studied alone at home and were stressed as they thought of the students and the school community. Many students have found it difficult to maintain the adequate levels of teacher to teacher and also the students to teacher, and I found it very difficult for all of the schools to remain their living, and also without the meaningful support from school, teachers, principals also, and also access of devices, reliable internet connection, many students have been left behind during this pandemic COVID-19. So yes, I think this COVID-19 pandemic is so affect that students among the world because of there's no learning sources and also there's no teacher at home. So I think yes, that is one of the effects of the students' education.
Alright, and thank you for sharing your insights. I absolutely agree with your thoughts. Alright, so it's clear that Fatin has given us a lot to think regarding the effects of COVID-19 in education. So it's very clear that Fatin has given us a lot to think regarding the effects of COVID-19 in education. Alright, it's crucial to reflect on the effects of COVID-19 on education, and your inputs really helped us to understand the challenge we face. Now, let's move on to hear from another panelist to get their perspective on this issue. So, Christina, how do you think COVID-19 has affected education?
In my opinion, the effect of COVID in education is students need to change learning method, which is students learn through online or application. They have to join online classes using technology like smartphones and needs to use mobile data and internet to join it. It might cause increased cost of mobile data and internet. Studying apps like Google Classroom, Google Meet, Quizzes, YouTube, and many more were introduced during the teaching and studying at home while pandemic. Usually, students and teachers use Google Classroom. Google Classroom is a free online tool designed with educators in mind that makes it simple to publish, share, and create assignments online. Google Classroom's primary goal is to make file sharing between instructors and students easier. Google Classroom also combines with Google Meet and Gmail for communication, Google Calendar for schedule, Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides for writing, and Google Drive for assignment creation and delivery. Pupils can be automatically imported from the school domain or invited using a private code from teachers. Every class make a distinct folder on each user's drive, where students may turn in assignment for instructor grading. However, online instruction might make pupils disengage from the material and lose concentration when the teacher is teaching. Many colleges and universities are switching to online learning systems in favor of a traditional classroom instruction. This highlights a serious digital divide, though, as students who lack access to reliable internet and smart gadgets are falling behind in their coursework. Online learning is not always as effective as in-class learning, especially for subjects that require experiment, hands-on work, or active interaction. Many teachers and students are also not fully trained to use digital platforms, which affects the quality of teaching and learning in classroom. The educational divide between peoples from different socio-economic origins is getting wider as a result of the pandemic COVID-19. More affluent families have access to technology and domestic support system, which helps their students adjust to online learning more easily. Alright, let me continue my point. Furthermore, several learners reported that they do not have access to essential learning tools and aids due to financial strain on their families. Many families have lost
programs aired on television, radios, and also all the media platforms, and therefore many students could not get access to that such opportunities. Also, there is the homework gap between the students and also teachers. The homework gap refers to the unequal access students to have to technological resources necessary to complete their homework. Students without this access or even computers to, especially in high school when they have assignment like research paper to get to use to the technologies, so they didn't have such an ability to complete all of that homework that requires the resources from internet. So it will be more difficult for them to access such an information in media platforms. These students miss out on valuable learning time, which is partially responsible for the gap we see in performance between these students and their more well-resourced counterparts. Just 50% of students had personal computers with which access home-based learning lessons during the various movement control order MCO, according to Senior Minister Razijide. So many students could not cope with their children learning at home due to many kind of reasons such as lack of devices and also poor Wi-Fi connectivity. So Malaysia has been cited as having one of the highest learning losers. Learning losers refers to the lack of learning by students during the pandemic. So that is my point for this topic.
Besides, every student's emotional and mental health is impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. A student's mental health can be negatively impacted by abrupt changes in their learning environment, social isolation, and uncertainty about their future academic plans. Students who are taking significant exams are particularly affected by this. Some of them have to face family problems, friends matters, personal problems, and many more every day. However, they must continue to keep the issue hidden from others' awareness in order to endure their suffering on their own. Normal life is significantly disrupted, including work, going to school, and doing daily activities. Feeling of being out of control and confusion increase due to the loss of a consistent routine, which increases mental illness. During COVID, all shops and business premises are closed due to movement control orders enforced by the government. The nation's economy suffered as a result, and a large number of individuals lost their employment as a result of business being unable to pay employees' wages due to the inflation.
despite COVID-19 to education? That's all for me.
Thank you for the question. It's a very nice question actually. Okay, so now let's move to our guest speaker.
Alright, thank you for that amazing question for me. So, other than looking at the bad side of COVID-19, I think we have to look education in a positive way too. Because this pandemic have brought education in online platform to the next level. Why? Because if we look at 4 to 5 years ago, teachers and students were so struggle to handle all the devices and also technologies, right? So teachers have to look many ways or types of learning in the class to make the class fun and attractive for the students, right? So it is because students need to not concentrate if the class was so boring or even the lectures was so not fun, right? So day by day, the teachers were so used to technologies and get many ideas to make the students stay in class, although the class is just an online class. For example, the teachers change their learning method from just a normal class session, teachers to teachers to students, to an attractive way. For example, the teachers know how to manage the class, even the class is online class, by having a game lesson and even a fun quiz in that online platform. So even more, the teacher and students have their way to two-way communication in that online class to make the class feel attractive and also high quality of that class. And look how interesting that this method, this online platform, can brought the class in high quality of classes. So these all can lead to a high quality of educators and also education in Malaysia. That's it. That's my point of view. And also today, in this 21st century, the virtual class or even a normal class that we had today was so famous with these technologies and also online devices such as computers, LCDs and many more. So one of the reasons is because of the pandemic, the teachers have to find many kind of methods to make the students feel comfortable with that class, right? And the teachers were so comfortable to teach the students even in normal class or online classes. So using this technology and impact from that COVID-19 cases, teachers succeed in making online classes effectively, and they get to use to many types of application to make the class interesting and effective. So teachers decided futuristic method of learning that the teachers use to have in their classes. So yes, I think COVID-19 have brought many positive ways in education so that the teachers and the students can get along with their communication and also class in a good way. Yes. So that is my point of view about positive side of COVID-19.
I totally agree with you. Let me add my point. The acquisition of new skills, particularly in the use of contemporary technology, is another advantageous impact COVID-19 on education. With the use of technology, educators may acquire and use new teaching techniques. This improves the organization and interest of teaching and learning strategies. Additionally, students who are exposed to a variety of engaging teaching and learning techniques will find it difficult to get disinterested in what they are studying. As a result, pupils will be more eager to study, and an environment that is conducive to learning is indirectly created. It is not an issue if this approach of learning and teaching is more successful than the instructors discussing a topic just using textbooks and write on the whiteboard. It's just because most students are already proficient in utilizing technology. This method is extremely easy for students and teachers. Additionally, this innovative Additionally, this innovative approach to education streamlines the process, cutting down on effort and time spent studying. This has been claimed because students don't need to meet with their teachers in person to turn in their assignment, since they can utilize the internet to research topics and get the information what they need. Through the completion of each exercise, students can also build critical, creative, and sophisticated thinking skills. Applications like Google Classroom, Google Drive, and from VLE may be used to submit assignments for students. Thus, because of each application has the capacity to keep data for an extended amount of time, the problem of loading that destroys students' assignment may be minimized. Last but not least, it is evident that COVID-19 has both positive and negative effects on schooling. Alright, that's my opinion about the question.
Okay, thank you for both of you because sharing your perspectives on the positive and the negative sides of COVID-19 to the education. As we wrap up today's talk, let's remember the big impact COVID-19 has had on education. Students and teachers have faced many challenges, but we have also seen new ways to learn and adapt. But now, it's great to see that the COVID-19 pandemic is less of a problem now, and students are getting back to normal. Students and teachers are finding their way again, and we have seen a lot of strength during this time. Let's keep supporting each other to make sure everyone can succeed. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end. Thank you for joining us today. Stay safe and let's look forward to a bright future in education.
Bye.